My dear, come sit close to me. Let me tell you something that still makes my old hands tremble when I remember it. You see, a mother's heart is never at peace when her child is in trouble, even when that child has grown into a man with a house of his own. 2 weeks. 14 endless days and nights. That's how long my son was gone. No calls, no messages, not even a single knock on my door. Do you know what that feels like? It feels like someone has pressed their hand against your chest and won't let you breathe. Every morning I woke up and checked my old phone, hoping his name would appear on the screen. Nothing. Every night, I sat by the window, waiting for his car headlights to flash at the end of the street. Nothing. I told myself, Mama, he's just busy with work. Don't worry. But oh child, the heart of a mother cannot be fooled. I felt something was wrong. The neighbors began to whisper. He hasn't been around, has he? One of them asked. I forced a smile, but inside I was drowning. My son, my only son. On the 13th night I couldn't sleep. I pressed his old baby blanket against my face. Yes, I still keep it, and I whispered a prayer. God, bring my boy back to me. Let me just hear his voice. My tears soaked that blanket as though I was crying into his baby skin again. By the 14th day I could no longer sit still. I grabbed my shawl, locked my little house and walked. Yes, these old legs carried me, all the way to his place. My heart was pounding with every step. His street was quiet. Too quiet. I remember looking at his door and feeling my stomach twist. The curtains were drawn, the mailbox overflowing. His car was in the driveway gathering dust. Son! I called out as I knocked. My voice shook, breaking like glass. No answer. With trembling hands I turned the knob. The door creaked open. I shouldn't have gone in alone, but when you're a mother, fear doesn't stop you. Love pushes you through it. The air inside was heavy, stale, almost suffocating. The living room was in disarray. Clothes thrown about, papers scattered, as if someone had left in a hurry, or maybe someone had been searching for something. My heart raced. I walked slowly, whispering, Son, are you here? It's Mama. Each step felt like it echoed through my bones. The house smelled strange, like damp wood mixed with something metallic. I don't know if it was my imagination, but I swear I heard faint shuffling sounds from upstairs. I climbed the stairs, one hand clutching the railing, the other pressed against my chest to calm my racing heart. His bedroom door was slightly open, and a dim light flickered from within. I pushed it gently. The room was messy, bed unmade, sheets half hanging to the floor. But then my eyes froze. Something was moving under the bed. At first I thought it was just my mind playing tricks on me. But no, there was a real movement. Slow, uneasy, almost like someone, or something was crawling in the shadows. Son! My voice cracked, trembling like the flame of a dying candle. No reply. Just the faint sound of something shifting beneath the mattress. My knees weakened. For a moment I thought I might collapse right there. I clutched the bedpost, staring at the floor, my breath quick and shallow. What could it be? An intruder? An animal? Or my son? I whispered again, softer this time. Son, is that you? And then, child, listen to me carefully. Then the sheets on the floor twitched, as if pulled by invisible hands. I stepped back, my heart beating louder than thunder. My old bones begged me to run, but my mother's heart begged me to stay. Because what if it was him? What if my boy was down there, broken, hiding, needing me? I took one trembling step forward, and just as I bent down to look, the movement stopped. The silence in that room was so thick, I could hear the blood rushing in my ears. I froze, my breath stuck in my throat. My fingers trembled, hovering near the edge of the blanket that dangled to the floor. And in that moment, child, I swear to you, I felt that whatever was under that bed was not just going to change my son's life. It was going to change mine too. Tell me, my dear, if it were you, if you stood there in your child's room, and you saw something moving under their bed after 2 weeks of silence, what would you do? Would you run? Or would you bend down like I did, with a mother's desperate hope in your heart? Don't leave me alone in this story. Stay with me, because what I found under that bed will haunt me forever. My dear, I can still feel that moment in my chest. My fingers were trembling so badly, I could hardly keep my hand steady near the edge of the bed. I whispered again, Son, is it you? Silence. But then a faint sound, like a whimper. Or was it just the creak of wood? At my age, sometimes your ears play tricks, but a mother's heart. Oh, a mother's heart never mistakes the cry of her child. I lowered myself slowly, my knees aching as I bent to the floor. My shawl brushed against the dust, and I leaned closer, squinting into the darkness under that bed. First I couldn't see. My old eyes blurred. But then there they were. Two eyes staring back at me from the shadows. My heart jumped into my throat. For a moment I thought I might faint. Those eyes weren't wild like an animal's. They were wide, human, filled with fear. "Son!" I gasped. The eyes blinked. And then my boy, my grown man, crawled out from under the bed like a frightened child. But oh dear, he was not the son I remembered. His face was pale, hollow, his beard unshaven, his clothes torn and dirty. His hands trembled as if he had been shivering for days. I reached for him, tears spilling down my cheeks. "My baby, what are you doing under there?" But he pulled away. "No, Mama," he whispered, his voice hoarse like it hadn't spoken in days. Don't touch me. Please." My heart shattered into pieces. My son, who once ran into my arms after school, who once clung to my sorry when he was scared of thunderstorms, was now cowering from my touch. I whispered, "What happened to you, my child? Where have you been?" But he only shook his head, covering his face with his hands. "They'll hear me," he whispered. "They'll find me." They? My mind raced. Who was he talking about? What kind of fear had driven my son to hide beneath his own bed like a cornered animal? I tried to calm him, stroking his hair gently, the way I used to when fevers burned his little body at night. "You're safe now, son. Just me. Mama's here." But he flinched. He looked around the room, eyes darting to the window, the door, as if invisible eyes were watching him. "Please, Mama," he begged. "You shouldn't have come. You're not safe here either." "Oh child, do you know what it feels like to hear those words from the one you gave life to? It's like someone takes your heart and wrings it in their hands." I wanted to demand answers, but his face told me he was on the edge of breaking. So instead I did what mothers always do. I pulled myself down onto that dusty floor beside him. We sat there, both of us trembling, two souls pressed together by fear and love. And then his body shook as sobs escaped him. He covered his face, crying like he hadn't cried since he was a boy. "Mama," he choked. "I didn't mean for this to happen. I didn't know they'd follow me here." "Who, son? Tell me who?" I asked, my voice urgent but soft. But he just pressed his forehead against my shoulder, whispering, I can't tell you. If I say it out loud, it becomes real. And then we'll both be in danger." My blood turned cold. Danger. The word echoed in my ears. My son wasn't just missing, he was running, hiding, afraid for his life. I clutched him tighter, even though he trembled in my arms. "Listen to me, son. No matter what you've done, no matter who's after you, you'll never face it alone. Do you understand? You're my boy. You're my heart walking outside my body." He shook his head violently. "No, Mama. Not this time. You don't understand. If they find out you're here." He broke off, his voice cracking. I cupped his face in my hands, forcing him to look at me. His eyes, they were bloodshot, wild, filled with sleepless nights and unshed tears. "Then let them come for me," I said firmly, though my own voice shook. "But I will not leave you. Do you hear me? A mother doesn't leave her child to suffer in silence." For a moment, something softened in his eyes. The scared little boy I once knew peeked through. But then suddenly he pulled back, his face filled with panic. He looked toward the window, then the door. "They're close," he whispered. "I can feel it." I followed his gaze, my heart thundering. The room was silent, but his fear infected me like a sickness. I wanted to tell him it was just his imagination, but deep inside, I felt it too. The air was heavy, thick, as if something unseen lingered in that house. And then from downstairs the faintest sound, a creak, like a footstep. My son's body stiffened. His eyes locked onto mine, wide with terror. "They found me," he mouthed, his lips barely moving. "Tell me, child, what would you do if you were me? Would you grab your son and run into the night, no matter where it led? Or would you stay, face whatever danger was creeping into that house, and risk everything for him?" Because in that moment, with the sound of footsteps echoing through the walls, I had to choose, and my choice still haunts me. My dear. I can still hear those footsteps. Slow, deliberate, pressing against the silence of that house like the ticking of a clock before it strikes midnight. My son clung to my arm, his body trembling like a leaf in the wind. His whisper cut through the air. Don't make a sound, Mama. Please. So we stayed there, two souls pressed against the floor, hiding beneath the shadow of that bed like frightened children. The room was so still, I could hear the thumping of his heart against my shoulder. And then the footsteps stopped. We waited. Seconds stretched into minutes, minutes into an eternity. My old knees ached, my back burned, but I didn't dare move. Finally, the silence returned. My son let out a shaky breath, but his eyes were still wide, scanning the room as if danger lurked in every corner. I couldn't bear it anymore. I turned his face toward mine and whispered, "Tell me the truth, son. What's happening? Who are you hiding from?" His lips trembled, his eyes glistened. And then he broke. "Mama," he whispered, his voice cracking. "I got myself into something I can't escape." My heart sank. I brushed his hair back like I did when he was small, coaxing the truth from him the way I used to coax confessions about broken windows or missed homework. He swallowed hard. "I owe people, Mama. Dangerous people. I thought I could fix it before you ever found out. But they don't forgive, they don't forget." My breath caught in my throat. I wanted to scold him, to cry, to demand why he hadn't come to me sooner. But when you see your child trembling in fear, none of that matters. All you want is to hold them and say, "You're not alone." "How much, son?" I whispered. "How much do you owe?" His voice was barely audible. "Everything. I lost everything. The house, the money, even my freedom. I borrowed to cover one mistake and then another and another. And now they want more than I can give." I stared at him, my tears blurring his face. "Why didn't you come to me? Why didn't you tell me before it got this far?" He shook his head violently. "Because you've already given me everything, Mama. My whole life you sacrificed for me. I couldn't look you in the eye and admit I'd thrown it all away. Oh child, do you know what that feels like? To realize your child hid his pain not because he didn't trust you, but because he loved you too much to see your heart break?" I held his hands tightly, though his palms were rough, scarred with stress and fear. "Son, listen to me. You are worth more than all the money in the world. More than any mistake you've made. You are my boy and nothing, do you hear me? Nothing will change that." He sobbed, pressing his forehead against mine. "It's too late, Mama. They'll never let me go. That's why I was hiding. That's why I disappeared. I didn't want them to find you. I didn't want them to hurt you because of me." His words stabbed my heart like knives. This boy, this man was still trying to protect me, even as he was drowning. I rocked him gently as though he were a child again. "You can run from them, son, but you cannot run from a mother's love. And if danger is coming, let it come for both of us. I will not let you face it alone." But before he could answer, the sound returned. This time it wasn't just footsteps. It was a voice. Faint, muffled, coming from the hallway. "We know you're here. Come out, and it'll be easier for both of you." My son froze, his whole body rigid. His eyes darted to mine, full of terror. "They found us," he mouthed. My blood turned to ice. "Child, I will not lie to you." At that moment, fear gripped me so tight I thought my heart would stop. But stronger than fear was something else. Rage. A mother's rage. I rose slowly to my feet, though my legs shook. My son tried to pull me back down. "No, Mama, please," he begged. But I shook my head. I straightened my shawl, wiped my tears, and whispered, "If they want to hurt my boy, they'll have to go through me first." The door creaked. A shadow stretched across the floor. My son gasped, covering his mouth to muffle his sobs. And then the door swung wide. A tall figure stood in the doorway, dressed in black, face half hidden. His eyes scanned the room until they landed on me. "Well," the man said with a cold smirk, "looks like Mama came to the rescue." My heart pounded. But I lifted my chin, standing between my son and that shadow. "You will not touch him," I said, my voice steady, though my hands trembled. "You'll have to kill me first." The man chuckled, stepping closer. "That can be arranged." Behind me, my son clutched my arm, whispering, "No, Mama. Please. Don't." But I did not move. Child, have you ever felt the strength that comes when you have nothing left to lose but your love? That was me in that moment. an old woman frail and shaking, but with a heart made of fire, ready to burn down the world for her child. Tell me, my dear, what would you do if a stranger stood at your child's door, threatening to take them away forever? Would you beg? Would you fight? Or would you stand like I did, trembling but unbroken, daring the darkness to cross a mother's love? Does what happened next changed everything? The man stepped closer, his boots heavy against the wooden floor. My son shrank behind me, his breath ragged with fear. But me? I stood tall though my body trembled. I may be old, child, but when it comes to a mother's love, there is no fear greater, no power stronger. I raised my voice steady and sharp. You leave my son alone. Do you hear me? You've taken his peace, his freedom, but you will not take his soul. Not while I'm still breathing. The man smirked, tilting his head. Brave words from an old woman. He took another step forward, his shadow swallowing the room. Behind me, my son whispered, "Mama, please don't do this. I can't lose you too." I reached back, squeezing his hand. "You'll never lose me, son. Not while I'm alive." The man's gaze flicked between us. He owes us. And when a debt is owed, it must be paid. I lifted my chin, fire burning through my tears. "Then take me. Take what I have, take whatever you want. But you will not touch my boy." For the first time, the man hesitated. His smirk faltered, his eyes narrowing. Perhaps he had never faced a mother who stood like a wall of flesh and bone between her child and death. My son clutched my arm tighter. "Mama," he whispered, breaking, "I can't let you do this. I can't watch them hurt you." I turned to him, cupping his tear-streaked face in my wrinkled hands. "Listen to me, son. From the moment I carried you in my womb, I promised I would give my life for yours. This isn't sacrifice, it's love. And love, my boy, is the only debt worth paying." His tears fell onto my palms. He shook his head, his body trembling, but deep in his eyes I saw it. The memory of the little boy who once believed his mama could chase away all the monsters. The man sighed impatiently. "Enough. Either he comes with me or you both suffer." I stepped forward, blocking my son completely. "Then you'll have to drag me first. And know this. Even if you take my life, my spirit will haunt every step you take until my son is free." The room grew thick with silence. The man's jaw tightened. His hand twitched at his side, but he didn't move closer. Perhaps he thought of his own mother. Perhaps he saw in me not just an old woman, but the immovable truth that a mother's love cannot be broken. Finally, he muttered, "This isn't over," and turned sharply. His footsteps thundered down the stairs, out the door, until the house fell silent once more. I collapsed to my knees, trembling, my shawl falling from my shoulders. My son rushed to me, holding me as though I were the fragile one. "Mama," he cried, "why would you do that? You could have been killed." I pressed my forehead against his, my tears mixing with his. "Because, my boy, what is a mother's life without her child? If I must face death, let it be in the act of protecting you." He sobbed, burying his face in my chest. "I don't deserve you. After everything I've done, I don't deserve this kind of love." I held him tighter. "Love isn't about deserving, son. It's about giving. And I will give until my last breath." We stayed there, holding each other, until the night turned to morning. The sun spilled through the curtains, casting light onto his broken face. And for the first time in weeks, my son closed his eyes, not in fear but in rest, his head on my shoulder, just like when he was a child. I knew then that our battle wasn't over. The men who wanted him would return. Debts would still weigh heavy. Dangers would still lurk. But I also knew this. He was no longer alone. And sometimes, child, that is all it takes to begin healing. A hand to hold in the darkness, a voice that says, "I am here. I will not leave you." My dear, if there's one thing you must carry from this old woman's story, it is this: never let fear steal your love. Life will bring danger, shame, mistakes, and shadows, but love is the only light strong enough to pierce them. So tell me, child, if your son or daughter stood trembling before you, drowning in mistakes and fear, would you turn away? Or would you, like me, step forward, trembling but unbroken, and whisper, "I will stand for you, always"?